Well, I want to jump into something you said, because it's sort of the other half of the questions about the like emotional, psychological side, that I think is the most important part of basically any aspect of this process, from writing songs to vocal producing to mixing to whatever. I think the number one way that other than just sort of normal conversation and empathy and sharing and, building trust with people through conversation, the number one thing I try to impart to people, especially when recording vocals, is this is the place to experiment and have your voice crack and try the weird thing and try 10 versions of the weird thing that then doesn't work. Try 100 versions, try a million things and come back tomorrow, take a break. Because, sometimes you don't have 2 days, but like the studio environment is the place.
Which, by the way, isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Like, you're working on songs that are going to last for forever, and like the A&R is like, we're going to give you 3 hours.
Yeah. I'm always trying to push for the opportunity to do multiple days. The more the environment can feel to the artist like this is the place to make mistakes and try things, right, the better you're going to get out of them. And I think it's actually exactly to your point, which is if you communicate to them and say, this is the place to try stuff. I can adjust timing. I can adjust tuning. I want the biggest emotion out of you. I want you to, on this take, just embody the lyric. Close your eyes and imagine you're singing in front of 50,000 people. Or I want to talk about the lyric for 10 minutes and then let's do 3 takes without thinking about it. Like, it's a place to just, and tell them, like, the purpose of this, let's just experiment. Let's try things. And if it's wrong, all we needed to do is get a piece of it right just once. I just need this one word, but I want you to sing it 9 times. Like, creating a space to where the artist feels like this is the place to try things.
I think all of those things that you said, I don't think people realize is ultimately by far the most valuable thing that we've talked about. The last 30 seconds of you talking is the most valuable thing that we've talked about so far in this this thing, is that sense of comfort, but also the idea that you're going to do 20 takes just to get one vocal or like one word, but to make them comfortable with it. The single most important thing that I bring into a session isn't the mic or a compressor. I'll tell you my deepest, darkest secret of how I record vocals is I can tell everybody that I worked with, and this is why I did it, I knew it. Everybody that goes into the booth, I go, look, I did Paris Hilton's record. It's like being like a proctologist. Like, like there's nothing you can do that's going to scare me in the booth. So like, I want you to go and not worry and do as much as you can, because there's nothing that you're going to be able to do that I haven't heard before or I can't fix. So just go and give it your all. You know what I mean? Like, somebody
was asking me in DMs actually this morning. They were saying, as a mixer, how do I, and it speaks to all the same, it's all kind of the same thing, where he was saying, if the artist and the producer are disagreeing about what to do, what do I do as the mixer? Or if the producer really wants to mix, the producer really wants to mix it, but the artist really wanted me to mix it. Now I'm getting all these insane notes from the producer about very specific things. And can you multiband compress this? And what I said was, just learn how to be more compassionate and kinder, and use it as part of your journey to becoming great at what you do, because then everything you do after that is just going to be easier. Like, the idea is, you're going to go through difficult times and you're going to go through difficult projects. But when you go through those things, all of a sudden you can honestly say to an artist, there's nothing you can do. It's taken me a week to record one chorus from one feature chorus where we just tried over and over. And I have to send the email back. Hey, I know you're on the road. We need to recut this. Like, things get painful. Things take a long time, and that's okay.
But that's again, I think so much more important than people realize. One of the best piece of advice I'd ever gotten was I had done they made a movie out of Rent, the play, and Rob Cavallo produced it. I worked under Rob Cavallo for years before I worked under Dr. Luke, and we did it in Skywalker, which you're a Northern California guy.
NorCal.
And we were there for like 6 weeks, and so it was the most awesome thing, because the first record I ever played in a band was When I Come Around. You know what I mean? Like, Cavallo was just a titan, and he cooks to unwind, and everybody else would go to sleep, and it would just be me and him, and he would just talk to me about producing for like hours at Sky. It was like the coolest moment of my life, over the most incredible food. And one of the things that he said that kind of forever altered how I look at production, which I think a lot of people lack, is I'd done this record with this other producer for a band, and I had said that a certain mixer had ruined the mix. And I was like, yeah, it would sound great. And then we sent it to this mixer who's a big name mixer, and then it sucked. And Rob's like, well, whose fault is that? And I was like, well, it's the mixer's, right? And he's like, no, it's the producer's fault. And I was like, how do you figure? And he's like, because as a producer, no matter what all the other minutia is, your main job is this awesome? Like, is this the best it could be? And I think people get lost in that with production. Like, they don't realize that the main job of a producer is this song, is this recording the absolute best that we can get it? And too many people are afraid. Like, because he told me about American Idiot, he had to send it back 7 times on the mixing because it was like, and it pissed everybody off. But like you, when you're saying, I think I know who you're talking about, where it took a lot of time to get certain choruses and they're on the road and they're a big artist, but your job as a producer, because your name's going to go on this, is look, I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I know it's not where it's supposed to be. And the whole reason why I'm hired, people don't understand that producers don't get hired for their microphone. They don't get hired for their compressor. They don't get hired for their gear. You're ultimately getting hired for your opinion. Yeah. Like, that's the most powerful thing you have.
And the results.
And the result, exactly. And that your opinion gets. Yeah. And so, you know, you could be Rick Rubin and not touch a single console, but every Rick Rubin record sounds fucking amazing because he didn't slap his name on it until he had figured out a way, whether it's hiring different guys or whatever, to make it fucking awesome. And so a lot of times, and this is the most frustrating thing for me because I see it all the time, people put in all this work to get it 90, 95% of the way there, and then they quit on the last 5%. They get exhausted. And it's like you've ironically jettisoned and wasted all this time that you put into it because you didn't want to put in 2 or 3 more days of getting it fucking right. And I think you have to get it right. And if you get it right, I mean, these songs live forever. Like, that's the main thing, but you have to get it right. And if it's not right, you have to do what it takes to get it right.
Yeah. And creating that environment for a vocalist, to circle back, is really the job of the vocal producer, is to get the vocalist to try things and make them understand that this is the space for that. This is the space to work and to try and experiment.